Good evening. In light of recent events, we here at Über Cinco would like to formally state our belief that violence of any kind is unacceptable. Physical attacks are unacceptable under any circumstance, no matter what verbal offenses have been committed. Resorting to violent confrontation is a childish response to any situation that could instead be discussed by two grown adults to find a peaceful resolution and a more mature understanding of the issue at hand. Again, we here at Über Cinco do not condone violence in any form. But if we did, we are going to take a long, hard look at who exactly would be on the end of our righteous B-slaps and sucker peas. Today's topic is top 5 people you'd slap on stage. And I've got just the two emotionally stunted, petulant little brats whose entitlement and success have left them trapped in a cage of developmental adolescence for far too long. It's Mitch Brinkman and Brian Ernst. Mitch, how the hell are you?
I'm sore, and not like physically sore. I'm just like, I'm kind of angry and I've got some bones to pick. I've got some scores to settle. And so this episode came at just the right time because my hand, it's perspirating. It needs to be taken up for a jog, if you will, on someone's cheek. So yeah.
All right. That's beautiful. Brian,
It's ready to go.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, and as a former third-degree brown belt, I am super happy to be able to exercise my God-given talent today.
Third degree.
Third degree.
Third degree.
Oh, wait,
brown
did you
belt.
say belt or stripe? Because I think you've said you've had the third degree brown stripes
The
before.
third degree stripe is in my drawers. The third degree belt is around my waist. That is what we need to know.
All right, by now you know how the game works, and we'll go through the list, and I'll be doling out points based on the merit of most slappable to least slappable. And if there's the same name on both lists, well, we have an Uber stare down where the points are all or nothing. And as host, I'm entitled to a house rule, which is pretty simple this week. If you come at someone I love, someone I cherish, someone Papa Bear would defend if you came into the den after my young ones, I'll be deducting points. Sub-zero scores are in play. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end for my Fast 5 send-off where I, Nathan Hennenfent, will reveal the all-time list of rock band members who joined based on nominative determinism as guessed by Brian Ernst, or Arburumjabondajgagabibio for short. Made the acronym in case this game catches on. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Mitch, let's hear your number 5.
Wait, I have a question first before we start, Nathan. If I present a case for one of my numbers and that case makes you want to slap me on a stage, do I get bonus points or do I get points taken away?
I'm going to decide in the moment.
Oh, wow. Oh, you withholding mother... Oh, I would like to get you up on the stage right now. Son of a bitch. Okay. All right, my number 5. He's a classic baddie, a true villain, straight out of the 90s and the Republican Revolution. Praise God and taxes, or lack thereof, excuse me. That is my number 5 is Newt Gingrich.
Uh-oh. Oh dear, right off the bat, we have an Uber stare down. Well, this is a good sign.
I'm going to kill you, Brian.
Brian, what was... This matches up with your number 5 as well. What did you list as your number 5?
Very specifically, every member of Congress that voted against the capping of insulin at $35 and denying health care coverage to veterans exposed to toxins.
Okay, and what was the acronym for that one?
That is EMOCTVATCA. I don't remember.
Okay,
Sorry,
that's too long. That's too long and convoluted. Mine was much more catchy. All right, so we're going after the legislative branch here. Mitch, the floor is yours for Newt Gingrich. Why would you slap the hell out of him?
Sure. First off, I would put him up on the stage, and just before the commercial break, so he'd come on early, and they'd be like, "And now, wait, sorry, commercial break." So I'd leave him standing up on stage for a good 5-6 minutes, just let those lights bake him a little bit, so he's a little sweaty. You know, his makeup base is starting to run a little bit. He can feel his hypocrisy leaking out his ass, just a little bit, rolling down his thighs. And I'd get up there and I'd say, "Newt, this slap is for," and then I'd hit him inside mid-sentence, catch him off guard. But I would slap him so hard he'd only have jowls on one side of his face. All right? That's how hard I'm slapping him when I'm done. And the reason I'm slapping him is because he was the leader of the terrible, terrible, terrible idea that Congress should be a battleground, and it's a zero-sum game, and blood in the streets, no holds barred, guerrilla politics, takedowns, all that kind of nasty shit. Newt led the take back of the House for the Republicans in '94, and that kind of idea, that mentality, that energy has not ceased since then, and it's only made our country and our public spaces, the debate in the wins, if you will, worse and worse year by year. And that, I think, can be directly attributed as a large source to Newt Gingrich. He's also just, is that his given name? I don't know. I didn't do enough research on him. But if you could, why not go by a different name? I guess maybe he's like a lizard person, and he's like, when I'm older, I will be the top villain, Newt Gingrich. And he's just like, that feels good for him. So now I get it. And now I'm like, okay, that is a great name for a terrible, evil politician.
I guess I was unaware that things were any different before 1994 because I was too young to remember. But I guess I had assumed things were always.
Wait,
this
you weren't
volatile.
like 8-year-old Mitch just sitting on the floor watching C-SPAN incessantly? just thinking about how our country used to be so much better than it was.
Well, okay, you guys see how much my blood boils on this show. I take after very closely to my father, Darryl Brinkman. His blood boils very hard. He'll be watching, like Meet the Press, and he'll just be like, God damn it, these freaking take a sip of coffee to try and calm himself, like, these freaking thief, asshole, fucker, shit, mother. It's whenever, like, that classic scene in any movie where they're like, Dad, do you need help with the fixing that motor? And he's like, no, son of a bitch, fucking God. That's what my dad sounds like watching political shows. So that's my
the dad in the Christmas Story fixing the furnace.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So you said Newt Gingrich is you're cutting him off before the commercial break. What event is Newt Gingrich at?
He's trying to take was it the 90s when the Democrats worked with MTV and did Rock the Vote? So he's now trying to do that with like Kenny Chesney, and he's in Nashville somewhere. So it's like, it's like the country, it's like the Young Country Music Awards or something like that. So the YCMAs, and so it's a bunch of youngins in Nashville maybe it's at the Grand Ole Opry or something. But they
could have just called them the YMCA's. Really, it was right there. They couldn't call it that. No, they gotta jumble it up. These acronyms today are really pissing me off.
You think the Young Country Music Awards could fuck with the Young Men's Catholic Association? No. Too much power, too much money. They would have gotten sent to hell with lawsuits. So
True.
That's my number 5. Newt can go all the way to fucking hell. I'm surprised he's not dead yet. But when he does, I'm gonna crack open a bottle of bubbly. So.
All right. Well, let's go across the aisle to the other members of the branch that Brian is quite upset with. Brian, elaborate.
Well, Nathan, you're gonna have your work cut out for you because you're either gonna decide on the father of this issue or the result of the issue. And I'm talking specifically about 2 recent bills that are just proof that there is no bipartisanship anymore at all. We all know that just raising the price of drugs just because you can is completely immoral. And if we saw anything from, what's his face, that pharma bro who did it with the AIDS medication, I mean, you're seeing it again with insulin, something that is necessary for people who either get diabetes later in life or are born with an insulin deficiency. Like, it's just the thing they need to survive. So a bill recently was like, we're going to cap it at $35 a vial or whatever the measurement was. And a lot of people seem to agree, like, okay, good price, like that, big. And then mainly Republicans opposed that, saying that it's just going to cost us too much money over 10 years, as if they didn't just approve an $800 billion war machine act not too recently.
Yeah, my blood's boiling.
And then on top of that, they actually voted to deny health care coverage to veterans exposed to toxins. People you've sent off to war, exposed to things that are horrible, you're denying them healthcare coverage. Yet you're the same people that cry, support the troops, bring them home, all that jazz.
Yep.
But as soon as you're home, we don't give a shit about you. Just come back down, get off the plane, and we are done with you. which is a
And
bunch
and,
of
and
bullshit.
this happened with 9/11 first responders too.
It's
Obviously,
still
that
happening.
long,
It's
long
still
fight.
not
Yeah.
really done.
And then also, too, on top of it, these guys are getting toxic poison or whatever because it's all the burn piles, right? Or like when they're in other countries,
I'm
like
assuming
all
so,
their
yes.
garbage.
Yes.
They just like dig holes and then burn everything, which also you're fucking up that country's ecosystem, and then also your own soldiers too.
It
It's fucking
reminds me
terrible.
of
Yeah.
one of my favorite, well, I say favorite, but one of the most pointed George Carlin quotes. Republicans want live babies to grow up to be dead soldiers.
Yep.
Oof.
That's
Yeah,
true.
pretty harsh.
I wanted to add one more thing to the Newt thing because I'm realizing a slap wouldn't be enough for Newt because he's been married 3 times, and every time he marries a new woman, he divorces the last woman. Every single time it's happened, he's divorced and gotten remarried within the same year, which tells you one thing. What is that? He was cheating on every single person, and so he's a real bastard. So he's been slapped before. He's absolutely been slapped before. So
It'd be
I
nothing
might
new.
just have to change it. Yeah, I might have to put, I don't know, a closed fist slap, which that becomes a punch, or a double slap, something like that. So Newt's really gonna have to get it. Otherwise, it might just turn him on. You never know.
And I realize I've explained my why thoroughly. I haven't expressed my how. This is the one I'm like super excited for because think about how many of them I get to line up. Now, the Apple box budget on this is going to be through the roof because I got to get all their heads at the exact same height. So we're going to get everybody stuck up, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just going to run down with an open palm and across all these motherfuckers.
You could do this under the guise of you're getting a group photo where they need to be level.
Yes,
you set up the
this
camera.
This is for America's first best Americans ever for the American edition of American history books for America. Boom. They show up. They're like, oh, wow, we're all going to be the same height. It's going to be such an even photo. It's going to be so great. Stop what you're fucking doing. Just stop it. And then I'll go back the other way.
Oh, as beautiful as an image as that is, and this is a very close one, but I have to go with Newt Gingrich because he was, as you said, the father of all that came after, and also anybody who's on stage at a Christian music awards festival has it in for a nice little tap on the cheek, as far as I'm concerned.
What about the people who bought tickets to said festival? They should be slapped too, huh?
Well, you can do your photo thing there. Everybody wins.
Admission's free, but you gotta take one on the cheek.
All right, we're gonna.
I think I would say before I hit him, I'd say, "I am your Judas," and then slap him on the face, like,
yeah,
here he is, mark him.
Let's go to Mitch's number 4.
My number 4 is a guy that you both have never met, and you never will, because I tried to find him on the onlines after I thought of this one, couldn't find him, so I don't know if he's dead or I'm assuming he's not. I'm hoping he's alive somewhere. Mr. Cullen, my 8th grade English teacher. Yeah, so Mr. Cullen was, let me just paint you a quick picture here. You know, khakis, like a gingham shirt tucked in, you know, like a leather belt, you know, his sleeves rolled up just so. Imagine like Michael Bluth, you know, or like every Jason Bateman movie, he always has his sleeves rolled up, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's like ready to get down to business. Imagine like an Irish redheaded Michael Bluth. That's what Mr. Cullen is. He was a super nice guy, great teacher, tons of patience. I mean, I've never seen a teacher, I think, with more patience in a classroom, never raised his voice. Just a sweet, sweet man. He did a lot of charity work. I remember that. He was the speech and debate coach. He was very good at that. He was beloved. He was absolutely beloved. And so I would invite him as my special guest to the National U.S. Government Education Awards, and I would be presented with the most shameful award of the night at that award ceremony. And that'd be number 1 procrastinator, and this is all due to Mr. Cullen, because Mr. Cullen told me, Mitch, you can relax for a bit here, dude. Like you're way ahead of all these other kids. He told me that. He's like, you're good at English. You don't need to like worry, right? Like you don't have to like stress about this. And then I realized like, oh, I used to always stress before that. I was like, oh, I can stress less because I was at a new school and there was a lot less educational competitiveness going on. And so I got a big head and
that's where it came
was
from.
filled Yes,
Okay.
yes. This is Mr. Cullen. Yep.
Got it.
Wait, is Mr. Cullen your dad?
No, he's a very opposite of my father. But and so yeah, I would get Mr. Cullen up there and say, "Thank you, Mr. Cullen, for giving me this great ability," and I would just haul off like, "Wait, actually, no, I shouldn't do it yet. Hold on, let me just," and I would procrastinate the slap. I'd be like, "Hold on, wait, I want to say some more nice things about you." I'd be like, "You really probably don't deserve this," but and I'm like, "Ooh, oh, my shoulder. Ooh, hold on, I'm not ready to do this just yet." And then on the third time, then I would haul off and give him a nice slap. And he'd probably thank me for it. He'd probably apologize as well. That's how nice of a guy he was. So this is not a slap that makes me feel good, but it's one that I'm just trying to take. I'm trying to brush off the personal responsibility of procrastination onto someone else. I'm trying to not take personal responsibility for it. So that's my way of doing it. And I would be the disgrace of the awards show. I'm pretty sure I would. So, but so yeah, Mr. Cullen, I'm giving him a nice little smacker across the cheek.
All right, so we got slapping a kindly old man for projecting your own faults onto him.
At the time, he was probably about 35, maybe, or he could have been 40, or he could have been 28. I have no idea, but now he is older, so yeah.
Oh, so he was a young man at the time, very extraordinarily young, 35. Just
he's
so young, so young. His whole life was ahead of him.
He was like a New York 4, but a St. Paul 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, yeah.
And you said complete opposite of your dad. So does he just masturbate when he watches Meet the Press, or I mean, what does that mean?
He probably just agrees. He agrees, and he's calm during it. So yeah,
that's not opposite enough for me, but that's fine.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Well, Brian, what would your number 4 be? What kindly member of the community are you going to slap?
A pediatrician.
Oh, good.
So this one.
Yes. Easy ride for too long. Pediatricians.
This one is specifically my pediatrician from the early 90s. Can't remember his name. All I know is that later in life, my mother disclosed to me that he suffered from narcolepsy. And this was the guy who immunized me. So this guy would fall asleep in the middle of exams.
Oh my God.
And this is why I'm just bringing him on stage to slap him just for his own good, so that he knows exactly where he needs to jab me with that needle. So this is me just giving to him what he needs. Hey, wake up, bitch. Upper arm, all right? That one's not for the ass, all right? Just get it where it needs to go. Make sure you got the Band-Aid ready. Open it up before you take your nap. That way you're ready to go. Come on, bitch. Let's go.
This sounds like one of the more politically incorrect Seinfeld episodes.
This is just true life. Only thing I remember, he always had great ties, like super, like, I don't know, like the genie from Aladdin, the very elaborate, like cartoony ties. But then he would just fall asleep.
How long would he be out?
I need to get my mother on the phone for this one. I have no idea. But apparently she's like, oh yeah, he falls asleep all the time. And we would just wait. And I'm like, what? We kept going back to him? Why?
Yeah, your mom is a medical professional. Why wouldn't she bring you to a different pediatrician? It sounds like you might need to slap your mom.
She's next. She's next on this list, Mom.
Karen, you better protect your cheeks, darling. All right, Brian's coming for him.
I suppose if you're a person who has a passion for the medical field and wants to do good and help people, pediatrician is probably the way to go. Though you don't want to be like a brain surgeon or an ER physician and then fall asleep in a real life and death scenario. If it's just poking Brian in the shoulder, that can wait 5-10 minutes or whatever beauty sleep you need. That's no big deal.
Which is fine. It was always really fun when he had that little hammer in his hand when he's about to go to your knee or your reflexes and just clonk out.
Are we sure he was a narcoleptic, or he just like had a like a moonlight or a moon? What's the term? Moonlighting? Did he like drive a cab at night or something?
No, I wrote this down wrong. Necrophiliac is what he was. Sorry.
Oh, he's a necrophiliac. Oh!
That would deserve a slap. But
that's what he does to check them to make sure they're not alive.
Oh God.
I also had one of the nurses at my doctor's office in childhood. Her eyes would flutter and close often, and so she would her eyes would close as she was administering shots, which was also pretty scary. She didn't fully fall asleep, and she would talk to you with her eyes closed. But so I understand this fear, Brian. I'm right there with you.
So was she narcoleptic, or was she having flashbacks to her necrophilia? I'm really confused.
She was flashing forward to the next time she could practice necrophilia. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
This is why you should never put pediatricians next to cemeteries. I've always said that.
Exactly.
How did we get here? Well, I have to say I don't have any stories like this because I was never vaccinated because my parents actually love me and care about me.
Wow.
Nathan's.
Were you vaccinated by a veterinarian?
I was vaccinated by the blood of Christ. Okay.
Oh wow.
So both of you are getting 1 point because these sound like nice people who deserve a break. So I'm not gonna allow you to hit them too hard. Just maybe a light tap with a glove and challenge them to satisfaction. Pistols at dawn. Mitch, it's time for
See, my guy only got satisfaction at the morgue.
Oh my god. Oh, this is dark.
Hello. I'm here to play.
Come on, host. Keep us on the rails.
I said, Mitch, you're number 3.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My number 3 is a very important one, and I'll say it. This will be shots fired at people in this room right now. And my number 3 is Irving Nixon is who I would smack real freaking good. And this would be on a cooking competition show. There'd be a stage built up there. I would pretend as if he won the cooking competition show with his invention, which I will reveal shortly. And then I would just dip my hand in like a chocolate pudding and just haul off and just give him one good frickin' smackaroonie, and he'd get a couple licks of delicious pudding, of course, off his face, but there would be a mark left, obviously. And Irving Nixon, I will smack him so fucking hard because he invented my least favorite kitchen product, and that is the CrockPot. Okay.
What?
He is Irving Nixon was a money hungry and just plain hungry inventor. Let's be honest. But he was too dumb to make the crockpot work, so he sold it to the rival company in 1970, and then they brought it to fame after that. But I hate crockpots. Why does it look like there's doilies taped around the outside in a classic crockpot? Like, why does it?
Fair.
Like, why does everything have to look like? And this is right out of Grandma's closet, you know? It pisses me off so much. And of course, when they came out, they said, mothers, this will save you so much time. You'll get all this time back. You'll become the best mother. And then what they didn't realize, what it actually did, was it just gave them more time. So then families expected moms to do more and more and more and more. And a crock pot, I'm sorry, but guess what? You can also cook meat for a really long time in a pot. You don't need a separate fucking thing, okay? And if anything, what crockpots did is just degrade people's ability to turn whole ingredients into finished meals. I'm sorry, but just dumping shit in a thing and turning it on. Oh, what are your heat settings? Oh, we got high and low. Oh, great. What does that mean? I don't know. It's high and low. Okay, cool. How do I do a recipe? I don't know. Buy our exclusive recipe book. Fuck off. No, thank you. At best, it's a cheese warmer. You've already made a cheese sauce in a different pot. You put it in there for a party. And I'm not talking fondue because fondue goes to crap in a crock pot. I've tried that. Or you have little hand towels rolled up and spritzed with water, and it's a towel warmer. Keep a nice hand towels warm. That's it. It's the only time I want to see a crock pot anywhere. And I'm sorry, but bringing crock pot to a big family, gathering. I'm thinking about all the terrible shit I've ate out of a crock pot. Sorry. And like the skins that develop and they cook differently and weirdly, and it's just never good. There's no pizzazz to the food. You're like, oh, let me open this lid. What is this? Oh, it's, it's that brown shit. What's the brown shit? I think it's barbecue sauce. I don't know. There's probably some little smokies down there. I dig around. There's no more little smokies. Fuck off, crock pots, okay? So Irving Nixon, I'm going to smack you so fucking hard for ruining American culinary tradition. That's it. The 70s and 80s truly was the death of food in America. I will always stand behind that. Boom.
I can't believe you're so mad at a guy for inventing a great towel warmer.
I you know what?
That was as heated as I've ever seen you, I think.
I've
It
also
makes-
never known about this deep hatred.
Yeah, crockpots they're just. No, thank you. I will never have one.
How do you tenderize your meat when you go to work for 8 hours?
Do you know what marinating is? Do you know what brine is?
Yeah,
Do
but
you know what?
also a crock pot does the same thing great. I've made ribs in a crock pot that are fantastic.
Yeah, guess what? Ribs in a crock pot? Those aren't ribs. Ribs need to be smoked. I'm sorry, but ribs in a crock pot, not ribs.
I'm so sorry. I don't take out my wood chips and let them go smoking in my kitchen while I leave for 8 to 12 hours. No, I wanted ribs that night. I'm getting ribs that night. So I put,
Why couldn't you? Why couldn't you put ribs in the oven for 8 hours?
I'm gonna leave the oven on while I'm gone.
You're gonna leave a crock pot on while you're gone?
That's what it's for. It's safer than this oven.
That is why Irving Nixon
Crock-pots
invented it for safety reasons. Really, he had your best interest.
Crock pots have burned down more houses than ovens, and no one can prove me wrong. I'm just saying that. I'm pretty sure it's a fact.
I'm pretty sure it's a fact.
All right. Well, with an airtight argument like that, we'll turn it over to Brian. What do you have for the number 3?
I don't think my number 3 could be more opposite than a hatred of crockpots. But I am talking about, I want to slap on stage the guy playing his EP at full volume off of his flip phone on the L. Now,
you say flip phone.
Correct.
What
it's
year
always
did this
a flip
take
phone.
place?
Yesterday.
Oh,
okay. This is what makes it so much worse. It's like, you feel for this guy. He's just trying to get an agent on the L, where we all try to sign record deals. All right. He's just trying.
You say his EP. This is his
his
own
EP,
music.
Yes. Oh,
This
yeah.
is
It's always his
he
music.
wrote and recorded himself.
Did he yell out like, "This is my EP. Anyone who likes it, let me know. I'll sell you a CD."
I have actually seen guys do this and try to pick up women with it on the L, where they sit there and they're just like sitting in there and they're bopping with it. Like, do you want to go out for food sometime? And I was like, are you using your unreleased song to try and pick up women coming from home from work on the L? What is happening right now? Now, the reason why I'm slapping this guy is 2. I'm giving him an actual platform where there might be a closer resemblance of somebody who can sign a record deal at whatever stage I'm at. There's a better chance that somebody in the audience there will sign him because of what they heard there. But his penance for doing this on the train, where I'm just trying to read my ebook like a good little boy, and he's distracting the hell out of me and like flirting with women who do not want to hear his bullshit, he's getting an open-faced slap. That is what's happening on this stage. So I'm doing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm helping the community, and I'm doling out justice.
That is pretty clever. And I just would like to point out that at least in the public transportation here in Chicago, it is very clearly marked in the signage and on the announcements over the loudspeaker that there should be no playing of any music outside of your headphones. That's very clear. These are the rules we've all agreed on. So
exactly.
This
and
is way out of line. But Brian's plan is he is going to both enforce the rules and rehabilitate, which is what I've been passionately advocating for the U.S. prison system for decades now.
Sure.
So, Brian, I salute you for this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have heard, I have seen every race of human. I have heard every genre of music. I have heard it from iPhones down to flip phones. This is a universal issue, but it all happens on the L or on the L platform. And it has driven me insane for the better half of well over a decade. And I just want it to end. And I hope the citizens of Chicago and its connecting suburbs will allow me to end it.
I hope so too. I'm going to offer you a full 3 points there. And Mitch, I was very confused by by the hatred of a crock pot, but I also hate the word crock pot. I feel like it's a crock pot.
That is it is a crock.
I don't enjoy saying it. I don't enjoy hearing it. So I'm going to give you 2 points, and I'm going to turn it back over to you for your number 2.
Yeah.
In any of your research, Mitch, did you find out why it was called that?
The rival company who bought it from Irving Nixon renamed it that. So I think a crock is in like I think a crock is like probably the name for like a giant like a a pot you use to cook over the fire, probably slowly. I think is what like a
Mm.
because like a crock, I think, or no, sorry, no, a crock is a stoneware thing that you can put right into the oven. The best cooking method, or something else where you can like heat up. It's like it's just a stoneware thing basically.
Like
But
that
originally,
explanation sounds like a crock of shit. So.
yeah. But originally, Irving Nixon invented this just to make a singular meat and beans Jewish stew called cholent, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But so he originally called it like the bean cooker or like the bean something. So it's all about beans, and people were like, "We don't fucking care about beans," And then
I will admit that
also,
is a horrible marketing technique.
yeah,
This is all about beans.
yeah, you're like, this is not gonna reach market saturation if you're just going the bean route. It
You
just
should have
won't
brought it
happen.
to England.
I can't talk about crock pots anymore, guys. I just can't. I'm sorry.
The only charming thing about the crockpot story is that the two lead food scientists were like two the photo I found, very, very sweet looking women who worked for the company, and it's from Kansas City. So they just looked like, your average Midwestern aunt, with like a turtleneck and like like a button up shirt underneath, that aunt look.
That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, we know. We know
you
the
guys know
look.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah, and it's also from Kansas City. I just don't care for Kansas City as well.
Ooh,
So,
shots fired.
slapping Kansas City too. Yeah.
Slap the
okay.
whole damn city.
This one is the one I'm most excited for, and I really hope I draw a lot of ire here in comments afterwards. And so my number 2, I'm slapping this person on the Oscar stage, the same place where Chris Rock
Beautiful.
got slapped. And I am making up a fake award and giving it to this person so they think they've won an Oscar. And then I am just gonna slap the fucking shit out of them. I hope I concussed them. That's how hard I'm gonna slap this person. That's Kevin Feige, and that is it is solely for single-handedly ruining movies and the movie industry with producing Marvel after Marvel, after Marvel after Marvel after marvelous piles of shit that he's been putting out for the past 10 years. So he's ruined finances in movies. He's ruined people's tastes. He's done it all. He's an evil genius. And I absolutely hate him for it. And movies now depresses me because of all the fucking Marvel bullshit. So I'm slapping him so hard, his brain pops out the back of his head.
Before we dive too deep into this, I do want to point out, Mitch, some similarity to a young man that we met on the first day that you and I met on our dorm in the little meet and greet, where the first thing he said to everybody is, you were supposed to go around and say our favorite movie. He's like, well, I don't really support the mainstream industry, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. And me and Mitch made fun of him for years after that. And Mitch, you're dangerously close to that territory right now. Just something to think about.
No, because at that point it wasn't ruined yet. We still had some good movies, and we didn't understand what was coming. We didn't understand how the world was going to change so furiously.
At the time that comment was made, sorry, there's someone trying to break into my yard. At the time that comment was made, how many Marvel movies had been out?
I think some Spider-Man had come out, and then an X-Men.
Those aren't Marvel movies.
Technically, those
are not the MCU, the Kevin Feige involved ones, though.
No, he was involved very slightly.
Yeah, he worked on those, Brian. So I'm sorry, you're wrong. So I'm right.
Fine, but I'm not talking about the universe that you're complaining about.
Well, we don't have to get in the 05 timeline with that dude. But what is the
timelines are very important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well,
so I think we should talk about
it. And that's one of the problems. And what I can't stand is there's a shared universe, and so other characters pop up. And I've seen some of these movies in the theaters, and a couple of them I have enjoyed. More than that, I have not. And that these people are going to show up, and because they do it in every single movie, and like 7 people from the universe like show up, and it's like people are surprised and they cheer, and I'm like, this is just what happens. And it's corny and cheesy, and it just tricks you into going to see every movie because it's like, well, I can't miss this because this character is going to have 5 or 6 lines. and it's all
And I do
overdone and
stand corrected.
overblown.
He is going all the way back to X-Men. I did not know that. He has been bleeding this his entire life.
Yes, I know.
Holy
That's
crap.
why
That's impressive,
that's
actually.
that's why I put him on here. And that's why it's so bad, because he has not produced anything except for superhero bullshit. Like, now he's exec producers on some shows here and there that might be less of it. But this is the problem. It's like he's only ever made this kind of fucking movie. And so it's just I hate him so much. And I saw like Iron Man, which was the, I will say, the only one I ever enjoyed. But then I saw like Iron Man 2 and Thor. But that was in my days of, I would go to the theater and see like 2 or 3 movies at a time. So sometimes I'd see movies I didn't necessarily want to see, but like, I'm like, I'm paying once, I'll see 3. But it's just like it takes our stars away too, to do those projects, and
That I
that takes up
totally
their whole
agree with it.
schedule.
Yeah.
And then also, like, they just pay him so goddamn fucking much money because it's all owned by Disney, so they can just overpay.
Yeah.
So then projects that deserve this better talent doesn't get them. You're like, it just. And then also the fact that, like, just so much of the conversation about movies and film is dominated by it, and now those movies are starting to get nominated for Oscars, which shouldn't happen, because also they're like, well, yeah, any fucking ass turd with a tail or a snout for a nose and $800 million could make something that's like sounds good or edits well. Like, yeah, fuck off. I don't know. It just makes me. It just grinds my gears so bad. And also, this is another reason. I recently had to do some research on it, pretend like I'd seen some of them, to get in good with a colleague who loved him and was like a famous curmudgeon. So now he's on my side, and he thinks I've seen like almost all of them. And so I've had to fake my way through conversations about like the Winter Soldier and fucking Edge of Ultron or whatever, fucking diamond ring explosion party or whatever. I'm just
they weren't edging Ultron. It was the Age of Ultron.
Edging
It
Ultron.
wasn't
Yeah,
the
that's-
second
that's a
Avengers
very-
movie where they're
that's a
just
very different movie.
masturbating a robot.
Yeah.
I watched 3/4 of my Marvel movies on Pornhub, and Edge of Ultron is great. I will say that.
I was gonna say the parody's got to be way more intriguing.
Yeah. Josh Brolin's in the parody too. It's incredible. He really gets into the role.
The web shooting gets a little out of hand, I think.
Yes. Oh, too much. You don't understand how there's that much, but yeah, I digress.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige, I would love to smack that shit up. Okay, and I was thinking about this too. So Star Wars also is another giant franchise that's been, I would say, bastardized and whatever, like stretched too thin and pulled and tossed in all these different directions. But at its core, Star Wars is normal people, like in this other made up world. So like they're able to have this good technology, and like it still is about individuals. Like also Darth Vader is like, I don't know, not that much fun. Like you root for the people who are real people in those movies. And so like, but like with the Marvel, they're here in this world, but they're all just fucking superheroes. And it's so
I don't
fucking
like
boring.
superhero movies because it's like I know how they get out of this. I bet they use their superpowers. I bet that's what they do. And so there's never anything at stake. There's never actually anything at stake.
That's just it. I remember having that argument after the first Avengers movie. The stakes are saving the world. And I was like, you know why I liked Iron Man? The stakes were, I need to stop this guy in a robot costume on this one city block. And it was like, you know what? It was contained. I knew it was going to happen. But like, yeah, by the time you're at the first Avengers movie, you have aliens coming through wormholes, attacking the entire planet. And you're like, well, how do you go up from here? And it's like, oh, now there's just multiple universes and we can go to different planets. And now it's a universe and we can go anywhere we want. And it's like, well, is that exponential or does that run out at some point?
It's snowballed way out of control. And now even the people writing it have no
and like us, we're complaining right now about something like, oh my God, that happened so fast. It's been 15 years. It's been nonstop for almost 15 years. Like I can understand the cinematic accomplishment of tying 10 years of movies together. That's never been done, but also anything can be done if you throw that much money at it. Yeah. Fine. The people who really like that, I can respect that. But I think I can understand like the TV shows are probably going to be a lot more interesting. And it's like, you know what? I can watch those when I want. You can dive into character, whatever. But again, those are stealing our stars too. So now it's like every single person is associated with some sort of IP. It's like really aggravating.
It's as much fun as it is sounding like a bunch of old curmudgeons shitting over a thing that's made millions and millions and millions of children happy. We'll have to move on to Brian's number 2.
Oh, hold on. Let's not pretend these are just for children. There's a lot of adults who care way too much about them too. So,
well, he said children happy,
children
adults.
children that never died.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because they didn't go to my pediatrician. Number 2.
But when they do die, your doctor is there, baby.
Yeah. I'm going to do the Chris Rock thing and hold in the comment I want to say because I don't think anybody will ever listen to the show again. So number 2.
Wait, hold on. What was your comment is you hope you're hot enough or your doctor still wants to be around you when you're dead? Is that what
No, it was actually worse than that. So I'm going to hold it for off mic. Number 2. Oh, God. My number 2 is the person who ordered more than they can carry at an airport McDonald's. You know you have a rolly suitcase. You know you have a backpack. You know you have a carry-on. Why are you ordering a tray of drinks, of hot coffee, orange juice, and a soda while you're getting an Egg McMuffin and a hash brown or whatever, and you're just going to try and make it to your gate by yourself? I have seen this on multiple occasions. It is always more gray-haired, like cat lady looking women do this than I have. They look like cat ladies. Or because it's not a business.
Shots fired at cat ladies. Oh my god.
It's not a businessman doing this either. It's just it's a schlub in sweats. And it's just like, why do you guys need this much McDonald's by yourself? Because if you had a place to store your luggage, you're traveling with friends or family, you would have left your luggage at the gate and then gone to the McDonald's. But you're going to the McDonald's with every single one of your belongings and ordering enough for a carload of people. Mm-hmm. How are you going to carry this back to your gate? How are you going to finish this before you get on the plane? And why does it all have to be done in one single order? Why can't you get a coffee and an Egg McMuffin, go sit at your gate, and you're like, man, I really need to wash this down. Then you can pop back up and get an orange juice and a water if you need, just to get your vitamin C up. So but you're just like, how
is this directly inconveniencing you?
I have to look at them, so they need to get on stage and get slapped. Okay? I have to watch this stupid struggle and think about how stupid humanity has gotten. And it's just like, all right, I'm going to take Man in Sweats and Cat Lady and put them back up there. And I'm like, look at these fools. Look at them. Look at them try and do things they can't do. That's not right. I have to look at these stupid people and it upsets me. Therefore, done. Go back home, eat your McDonald's at home through a drive-through like a normal person, not at an airport, where you can put that food down on a seat and be smart about it.
Yeah. Anyone who orders orange juice, a coffee, and a soda all at once, they're a killer or their tongue doesn't work, because that sounds like a terrible beverage experience.
You keep Jenny's name out of your fucking mouth.
Was this Jenny? Was this Jenny? You just wouldn't help her with her luggage and you were like, babe, that's way too much food.
This isn't her specifically at the airport, but she will order 4 separate kinds of drinks no matter what establishment we're at.
Also, McDonald's orange juice is fucking terrible. That shit like burns your mouth.
So bad. It is so acidic. It
so
gives you
disgusting.
acid reflux before it hits your stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my tip for eating at airport. When I was at O'Hare recently, always big lines at your McDonald's or your Arby's, like those kind of things, like big name things. I waited and I looked for an airport employee. So I saw 2 baggage handlers and where they went. They went to the Chinese place, 0 line. I'm like, that's got to be good. Yep. I go there, incredible meal, only like $9. No airport markup, same as like your Panda Express downtown Chicago. Great fucking meal. Brought it to a bar, got to eat at the bar and had a beer at the same time. That's my
genius.
hot tip.
What was the place that was by DePaul? Wasn't it called Fast Foods?
That sounds right. Yeah, Fast Foods.
That's the same thing I would do when you had a class that ended at 1:20 and then you had another class that started at 1:30. I go to Fast Foods and just inhale orange chicken and then go to class.
I had a different
was-
plan for when I had a class that ended at 1:20 and started at 1:30. I just didn't go to one of them. Always worked. Never late. Never late if you don't go. Remember that, kids. You're never late if you don't go.
I had that exact same thought process, and I was going to do that once until I calculated that every time I skipped a class, it cost me $665. And then I never did it again. I was like, yep, every class I would miss, that's what it would cost.
Well, that depressed me very much.
What if you skipped a class but worked during that time?
Then the class would have cost me $630.
I gotta admit, I did make $665 an hour as a tour guide at DePaul. It was a pretty sweet gig. So I was incentivized to skip class. Yeah.
That's killer, man.
It was nice.
Well, Brian, we're gonna have an economic math discussion about what you just said on a later episode, though. Just let's bookmark that and we'll come back to it. So
okay, sounds good.
Okay,
all right. I'm gonna score this out, Brian. I'm only giving you 1 point because these people didn't do anything to you. I mean,
no, that's fine.
I don't want to run into
CrockPot argument. I understand. It says doesn't really affect me in any way.
Do not directly tie this to crockpots because I actually researched mine and I had lots of reasons. Or
I researched mine too. I lived it at least 4 or 5 times. You just don't have to get a crockpot. It's solved. Me, all I got to do is turn my head to the left. Problem solved, right? See, it's the exact same thing.
No. That is not what I said. I said it ruined the American culinary tradition, the 70s and 80s, and the crockpot is a large force.
As does overstuffing your arms with McDonald's. So,
oh gosh,
all right, Mitch, you get
blood boiled Nathan. Look at it go.
Mitch, you get
Nathan,
three points.
Mute him now. Mute him. Turn off his mic.
All right, Brian, you're cut off. And now you're back on. Because we got to go on to Mitch. You're getting 3 points for the Marvel thing.
Thank you.
And we're gonna go to back to Mitch for the number 1. Who's getting the big slap?
Yep, number 1. Okay, so number 1 here is okay. So my number 1 person, I would what award show would I bring them to? Oh, so there's an upcoming, or maybe they already did it, the NBA 75th anniversary awards show. I'd invite him to that as my special guest. I myself would have to get an Apple box to do a comfortable full power slap on this one. So I'm actually probably building on top of the stage. I'm building a smaller stage out of Apple boxes. So I have like a lot of area to plant and really get into it. So my number 1 to smack, he's a tall man. He's from Hibbing, Minnesota. Some would say the pride of Minnesota basketball. And that's Kevin McHale. And you might say, oh, the Boston Celtics legend, but he was such a nice guy. He was a great teammate. He had mountains and mountains and mountains of post moves. Every move he had, if someone stopped him, he had a counter.
He did.
The ice cream man himself, 32 flavors of post, scoops, shoots, and hook shots. And I would say, I'm sorry. That's all great, but he also played on a broken foot and ruined his health for the rest of his life. Pretty dumb move. But of course, tough guy 80s. He had to do it. But in his later life, he became the general manager of the Timberwolves. And he single-handedly ruined my childhood by making bonehead moves, bonehead draft picks. And, he'll say to his grave, I'm sure, well, I drafted Kevin Garnett. And you're like, yeah, great, but everyone wanted Kevin Garnett. He was an absolute freak. He had an intensity beyond all others. But his largest, most stupid move was signing a secret contract with Joe Smith, who is a middling power forward, was not going to push the franchise in one direction or the other. We could have just not signed him and we would have been in the same spot. But for whatever reason, they did a secret pre-contract. I don't understand why this even happened and who the fuck told the NBA about it. But we lost years and years of draft picks. We were fined, absolutely ruined the franchise, hamstringing our ability to put a supporting cast around Kevin Garnett and to truly take advantage of it. So my point is here, if we had never done that, we would have had all that draft capital, all that goodwill, cap space, and we would have absolutely challenged and or beat the Chicago Bulls late 90s. And there's no way to say that wouldn't have happened, because it absolutely could have happened. And then the Bulls wouldn't have had their 6 championships. Jordan's whole 6 championships, 2 three-peats legacy would have been gone. This would have changed the course of NBA history. Garnett would have never left Minnesota. He would have won multiple championships in the frozen North. Boston wouldn't have got their rejuvenation. Doc Rivers wouldn't have been a big deal, and he wouldn't have gone on to other teams to ruin them as well and to lose big games over and over and over again. So I'm just saying, this one guy, Kevin McHale, this big, ugly motherfucker from northern Minnesota, now has a giant red hand mark on his face. And instead, Jordan only has 4 championships. And Timberwolves, we've got 5. So that's what would have happened. That's what would have happened. And you can't say it any otherwise, because I'm pretty sure that would have happened.
This is the public consensus among the basketball expertise.
Yep.
This is exactly this would have never happened. Brian, what's your number 1?
Well, hold on. Also, Garnett would have rightfully been known as the best power forward ever play the game. Not Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan would have been pushed down a little bit more.
Now we're entering the realm of out and out fantasy. So Brian, bring us back down to earth.
There's no way you can refute it, because you can't say it couldn't have happened. So therefore, it absolutely did. But
it's like the multiverse theory in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Look at this
Anything
guy.
can happen.
He's writing his own Marvel script right now. He can't help himself.
A Marvel script full of regular heroes. No superheroes here. Just people who show up every day, rise and grind, and make themselves better at the game of basketball. So thank you very much.
It's a nice tagline.
Ugh. Well, that's what I'll do. All right, number 1. I'm slapping my 17-year-old self for performing badly in a high school debate.
That's harsh.
Now, this is harsh. I deserved this one, because how many times have you ever had a quip or said something or couldn't say something, and then later you're like, damn it, you thought of the best retort possible?
So many times.
This is one of those moments.
I always think of the best retorts possible, so I haven't felt that before. So
okay, well, Mr. Fantasy, what we're going to talk about here is, I remember we were debating something very specifically in social studies in high school. We were debating whether there are absolutes or is everything relative. And it's a very wide-ranging debate, obviously. So people who tend to be conservative think in absolutes. People who are more progressive think in relativity. So that's fine. I was on the relative side. We were facing the absolute side. And I remember just being completely dominated by everyone on my side had something awesome to say. And I'm like, I need to say something. So I forced in some weird scenario. Well, yeah, but if the guy breaks into your house, but he was already a bad guy and you kill him, right? And it was completely not a full-on thought. Made no sense. And I remember the girl sitting next to me just being like, no, don't listen to him. And she continued on with something that was brilliant. And I was like, God damn it. And then I got home, and it was all of a sudden it clicked to me. Every single one of them celebrated Christmas. And I'd be like, are you going to tell your children there's a Santa Claus? Everything is relative, because lying should be an absolute amoral. No, but you will lie to your children to further the tradition, blah, blah, blah. So lying is relative. If I would have thought of that in the moment, it would have brought the house down.
Would have been nice.
It was so fucking perfect.
That's a good one.
And then, it was a great one. And then I just remembered later that we asked the one teacher who did not want to be involved in this. They're like, well, what was your thought on this whole experiment? He was like, there's only one absolute, and it's that everything is relative. And he walked away. And I was like, that was such a good line too, you son of a bitch. I was like, oh. And so that was the moment I was like, that was the first time I truly experienced, you can think before you speak. And if you don't have anything to say, you can just not say anything and no one will care. If you have something to contribute. If you don't, shut your fucking mouth and learn about it more and come back. That's totally fine. Or if you say something stupid, go learn about it and correct yourself, you big fat dummy. Now get up on that stage and take your licking from the older me. You dumb bitch. That's what I have to say to my 17-year-old self.
I have a question for Brian here.
Yes.
Okay, the whole Santa thing. What is there a positive outcome that outweighs just not telling your kid ever about Santa? Like, what's the true positives to them believing in Santa?
I have no idea anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's something so easy that makes them happy and gets them to look forward to it, it's not about changing their behavior and making them good.
Yeah.
It's more about just being happy and looking forward to a specific season.
The
I
sense
think
of
that's what it's more
childlike
about.
wonder.
Yeah, and it's just like you're not going to have that forever. You're going to have that for 8 or 9 years max. And then life is absolute shit downhill from there. So
Yeah.
why not just give you 9 years max of just a little bit of happiness
Yeah.
for 1/12 of the year? It's like you're gonna learn about it and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, then you're gonna think like, oh, maybe you'll actually then have the skill set to be like, maybe I should question everything that's said to me. So I think that's actually a valuable lesson as you're getting older, as opposed to just being like, there is no Santa, all your friends are fucking liars. Like, don't, yeah, that's
Brian, your 17-year-old self would be so proud of you right now.
I would hope so.
Well, so like, could kids not look forward to Christmas if they just knew their parents were giving them presents? I guess I'm like, what's really the downside? Like, maybe you have to answer questions one year for a little bit, but then they know, and then they get to be the cool kid in the class who like tells everyone like, guys, Santa's not real, you dumbasses. But
and then you get a bunch of annoying phone calls from a bunch of parents you don't even like anyway, and now you got to talk to them.
Look forward to that.
Guess what? Mitch would probably rival in that. He'd probably love that, actually.
But guess what? If adults are calling me to complain about fucking Santa, they've got a lot bigger issues, and I'm going to hang up on them and say, how about you look in the mirror a little bit here? Because if this
I don't
is
think
really
you understand
a huge
how
problem
petty
for you,
most people will be. They would love to call you. And I think that's the opposite. They don't know that they would have met your match when they called you. So
Yeah,
they'd
and
be in for an ass slapping. I'm not denying that. All right.
actually, every person who'd call me, I'd say, come on over tonight at 10:30 p.m., stand in my front yard, and I'll answer your questions. And then I would just line them up and just pop, 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 and then send them all home with a glass of poisoned hot chocolate. There we go. So,
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Wait, a Christmas spirit. Woo!
I got to score the final round out. And Brian, for going after, I said you can't come after the people I care about. For going after yourself, I got to deduct 3 points. And then Mitch for going after beloved people like Kevin McHale, Michael Jordan, and Santa Claus. Old Uncle Scrooge here is also getting deducted 3 points.
oh, come on.
So that leaves our score of Brian with a robust 2 and Mitch with a nice, healthy, strong 6. So Mitch, you in the, maybe the lowest scoring game we've ever had. Mitch is the winner. And
woo! Thank you very much. I appreciate the W, and slap on, my dudes.
Well, all right, that leaves my Fast Five, which you will surely remember was Arbabamjajangagambio. That's right, Arbabamjajabandagabibio. If you're a little slow on the uptake, that is, I need it spelled out for you, that is rock band members who joined based on nominative determinism as guessed by Brian Ernst. Some people's paths in life were laid out as soon as a name was put on the birth certificate. These 5 musicians could only have ever end up in the bands they did. So, Brian, I'll give you a name of a rock musician, the instrument they played, and you just have to guess what band they were from because their names just fit so perfectly. Number 5.
Okay, well, let's embarrass myself.
Number 5, Izzy Stradlin on guitar. Ow!
Fuck you and the Suggernauts.
Guns N' Roses. Number 4,
Yeah.
Geezer Butler on the bass.
British Castle and the Guillotines.
Close, Black Sabbath. Number 3, Frank Beard on drums.
ZZ Top.
That's right. Trick question, though, because he only recently grew a beard. Number 2, Artemis Pyle on the drums.
Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner is correct. And number 1, Mick Fleetwood on the drums.
I must say Fleetwood Mac.
Yes, can you believe the coincidence? The drummer of Fleetwood Mac just so happened to be called Mick Fleetwood. And you tell me you don't believe in destiny. And that's this week's edition of Über Cinco. Joining us from UBK Towers in Berwyn has been
Brian Ernst.
And from the ramshackle tenements in the Southport corridor of Chicago has been Mitch Brinkman.
And I'm Nathan Hennenfent. As Bisber always says, don't hit people. Simple as that. Auf Wiedersehen and adios.
You've just listened to Über Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBKstudios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.